Okay, we're at the primer stage now. We're actually going to do the mixing of the wet on wet. This is the colour screen which you've seen before. I'm going to get Andrew to go through the process and I'm going to film him doing it. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to get Andrew to put the code in for the wet on wet primer. So if you want to pick up that first tin, Andrew, and just get your code off the bottom of it. Okay, so if you put that into the machine, colour code, that's it, type that in, that's it, perfect. Right, now press search, and now if you look at the screen, all the shades for what we're looking at for this wet on wet primer have come up. So Andrew's going to choose a shade, which is the grey one, press it twice, that's it, the screen's loaded now. Now what it's doing is showing on the screen there, you've got white and black. So if Andrew presses the dose button here, it's now going to load up the screen and it's got the word tar on the bottom. That means it's ready for use. What we're going to do now is we're going to go over to this side and press on here the catalyst button. So if Andrew presses that, and he's going to choose there the spot repair one, and then below it is the dilution button. So Andrew's going to choose 741 thinner, and then he chooses add, and there you go, that is the full use for 1 litre. So what Andrew has to do now is he then has to change the quantity. So if you go back and take the, that's it, get rid of all that, and then once he's got a 0, he chooses the quantity he wants, which is 350, and that's ready. Close the screen down. There you go. Now he's on with his first colour, which is going to be the white. He's going to put this into the pot. So go ahead, Andrew. As he fills the pot, you will see it will start to reverse. This will work its way back to 0, and once he's round about the 0 mark, he will basically press the next version, which will be the black, but we've got to get it to 0 first. So as we were saying before, the primer, you don't have to be over accurate, but you can see the yellow line increasing as it gets closer to the colour, or the final amount. It changes colour from yellow, it will go into the green. So he's getting closer to the mark now. And once that line goes into the green, it's pretty much acceptable, because they're saying that's enough. Oh, there you go, can you see it change? That's it, bang on, that'll do. Right, and you see how it changed from yellow to green. So when you're up here, he chooses the next colour. I press OK, and it's loading the screen again. Now Andrew's got the black, and he's going to put the black in there. Same thing, it will reduce down till it comes to 0. This is purely for accuracy, while if the yellow line on the screen, like I said, changes to green, that's classified like it is now, that's fine. That's fine. It's classified as within tolerance level. Okay, so what you do now is you press the OK button. It's asking Andrew to stir the paint before we go on to the next stage. Yeah. Basically, so he can mix the colour up, he'll get a good idea, and you should always do this anyway, because it gets you into the habit of mixing and stirring your paint properly. But this scale basically does it in every stage. So when Andrew's happy with that, he can then leave the stick in the pot and move on to the next one. When he's ready, just press OK. Yep. And he'll now be loaded into the spot repair hardener. Which is that one, the MH120. So Andrew's going to add the hardener to the pot. Same thing on the scale. If you watch it, if it gets close to the mark and it's just below it, as long as the yellow bar goes into green, we're fine. That's it. That's more than enough, because it's within what they classify as a tolerance level. Okay, so when he's done that, presses OK. It gets him to stir it again. It's just basically going through the process of how they wanted to mix everything up. And so a lot of people just pour the hardener and the thinner in one after the other, but if you do it this way, you get a really good mix, because that means your hardener's mixed thoroughly into the primer and your thinner will then just thin it down. So what I'm going to get Andrew to do is press OK. And to pour this out a little bit easier, if we pour that from the tin into a cup, because it might be easier for pouring. So when he's ready, you can just go on and pour that into the says the same thing again. Once the yellow bar goes in to green, I need a little bit more. You need a little bit more. Okay, there's another tin there at the back. You might want to pour that in there, yeah. So like I said, if you just keep an eye on the screen, as it gets close to it, I think that should do it. We're only a little bit under. There you go, look at that. Although it's saying 0.0, that's okay, just press OK. That's the end. So if we press OK and it's asking us to exit, we're fine with that. Andrew's just going to mix his primer up a little bit more with the thinners in it, and we're good to go for putting it into the gun. You can put your stick in there if you're finished. Give that a good stir. That's it. Gun on this way because it's PPS, puts the gun in on upside down, locks it in. That's ready to go. So Andrew's ready, good to go now. The next thing we'll be seeing is Andrew in the booth priming the door in there.